Hi students, welcome to the discussions on the advanced shield designs. We are discussing the design of steel tanks. In the previous class, we have seen the as part of the designs, we have started a numeric problem wherein we have fixed the geometry and we have seen the designs of the plate and stiffeners. Now, in this part of this uh, discussions, we'll see further designs of the tank. Right. The next part we shall see the design of staging. Right. Now we have seen this design that how to design a plate, how to design a stiffener for the given data in the previous video. In this video now we shall see the designs of the girders, upper tier girders and bottom tier girders. Right? This is how the upper tier girders are longitudinal beams or girders or bearers. Right? All are same. Right? Now I'll take the interior beams on which um, how much of load is coming. I'll calculate the load from intermediate T covers. We have seen in previous calculations that the load on each T stiffener worked out to 38 kilonewton, and load from end T covers uh, load from end T covers will be right. This is how on end T covers, right? It is 38 by 2 because half the panel plus here exactly the weight of the steel plates will be there, right? That is a 3.792 plus weight of the water on this overhang 0.3 meter overhang. That is a WW, right? By adding all these 19 plus 8.8, 8.8 and 3.7, I'll get roughly 31.62 kilonewtons on the end T covers, whereas here also end T cover 31.62, and here on intermediate T covers which are placed at every 1.25 meters, because the plates are also placed at every 1.25 meter like this, right? Therefore there is a at the end of the each of the plate there is a stiffener like this, right? There is a stiffener, right? Hence, these are spaced at every 1.25 meter stiffness, attracting intermediate at locations 38 kilonewton and at exterior points 31.62 kilonewtons. Right? And also, uh, uh, these being supported, on the longitudinal girders, right? The stiffeners, these stiffeners are supported on the longitudinal girders. Below that, we do have a support in the form of longitudinal girder. Therefore, this longitudinal section itself shows the load coming on to it from the stiffeners. Now, because the spacing of the stiffness matches with the spacing of the girders. Hence, out of those 6 longitudinal girders, I am showing here one longitudinal girder, which is having this loading diagram. And now I'll assume that the self-weight of this longitudinal girder as 0.5 kilonewton per meter. Then this longitudinal girder, each longitudinal girder is supported on the cross girders. Right? 3 cross girders are there. Right? Therefore, each cross girder is spaced at 3.75 meter. We have seen the previous discussions, right? That is how these are the cross girders are that of the main beams. This is how the longitudinal beam. Then now this is how the loading diagram with equivalent with UDL of 0.5 kilonewton per meter because of self-weight and concentrated loads because of the self-weight of the water or that of the plates or that of this water stored in the this one. Right? Now let us do the analysis. First, before we do the design, we'll do analysis. Now I'll show instead of intermediate beam, I'll show the analysis for the end beam, like this, right? Likewise, the loads on the end beams are, just now we have calculated the load is 31.316. For everywhere, this is 31.316 because this is of that end beam, right? End beam. Intermediate beams are in between, right? End beam will totally attract the load from this overhang as well as self-weight of this plate, and the half the load from the stiffener, right? 38 by 2 plus the weight of water plus weight of self-weight of the plate, right? That is 31.316 at each and every location wherever there is a stiffener which are spaced at every 1.25 meter center to center, right? That is how the loading diagram on the end beam with an assumption of self-weight of this longitudinal girder, here also 0.5 kiloton per meter. Then how to do the analysis? Once I enter into the analysis of this end beam, likewise you can even analyze the intermediate beam also, right? Now I'll get the fixed end moments for two spans. It is two span continuous girder or beam or bearer. Therefore, fixed end moment at A in the member AC is given by W here. This is W A B square divided by L square, right? Similarly, because of this W2 multiplied by A2 multiplied by B2 divided by L square, right? Substituting the numeric values, now I'll get here also the W1 is equal to 31.31, W2 is also 31.316, hence minus 31.316 because of W1 multiplied by A B square divided by L square. L is the distance between this A and C. The length of that member AC is 3.75 meters. Similarly, because of this W A square W B multiplied by A square divided by L square, right? That is how now I'll get summation of these two because of the loads 31.316 kilonewton, and also UDL is also acting, right? Hence, because of the UDL fixed end movement, we know that it is WL square by 12. Hence, W is 0.5, L is 3.75 divided by 12. Both are minus at the left end. The same are plus at the right end. That indicates that the deflected profile of that beam is that minus indicates this, and this plus indicates this sign notation, means the bending profile is bent in the downward direction, right, in the form of a saucer, right? That is how the negative and positive, right? Negative and positive, right? Whereas the curvature is in the downward direction, right? This MF AC with minus indicates that the deflected profile is in the downward direction, or curvature is positive, right? Positive curvature, right? That is it. Hence, that minus MFAC, now it works out minus 25.761, and similarly, because of symmetry of the loading on this panel, I can say MFCA is also 25.761, but with plus value, indicating that this is how the bent profile, deflected profile, right? Similarly, MFCB, even the span is same, the loading is same, hence I can say MFCB is also equal to MFAC, which is minus 25.761 kilonewton meter, and MFBC is 25.761 kilonewton meter. Once I find out the fixed movements, then I'll go to the moment distribution, so that what are the final movements I'll try to get. And so now I'll write the joint A, C, B. Whereas at joint A, I do have a member AC. At joint C, member CA is there, CB is also there. Right? At joint B, only member BC is there. Whereas the distribution factors for AC is equal to 0, because that being the dead end, a simple support cannot take any movement, and it cannot take on its own. It will transfer to its immediate next support by 50%, right? Distribution factor for CA is equal to 50%. For CB is also 50, right? Therefore, the total distribution factor at joint C is equal to 100%. One is 100%. Similarly, the support B being simple support, the distribution factor is equal to 0. Once I write these distribution factors in this row, then I'll write the fixed movements at A. Just now we have seen that at A it is minus 26.761 units are kilonewton meter. Likewise, for CA it is 25.761. For CB minus 25.761. For BC 25.761. Then because this support A being simple support, it cannot take any movement. Hence, what now I need to do is I need to do a correction or modification. Correction is that because this is minus, now I'll add plus so that its summation will become 0. Similarly, at support B, also I'll do the same. That is positive, hence I'll add minus 25.769 so that the summation is 0. Right? Once I do that correction, then immediately it will be carried over because of this distribution factor at the next joint, right? At the adjoining joint, immediately adjoining joint, carry over. 25.761 multiplied by 0.5. It will now work out to say 12.381 approximately. Similarly, minus 12.381. Right? Now let us add. Now almost we have reached the equilibrium because this shows that the summation is equal to 0. I need not do another cycle. In one cycle itself, I got the equilibrium of the forces. Hence, this summation is equal to 0. Hence, the check. You need not go for another cycle. Then, even at the end, you please check that its summation is equal to 0. Hence, I got the checks at either end. Hence, now you sum up. Now this value is nothing but 25.761 plus 12.3805. Therefore, that is nothing but 25.7176 multiplied by 1.5, which is 38.641 kilonewton meter. And at CB, along in the member CB, bending moment is same, minus 38.641 kilonewton meter is a final moment. This is the final moment. Right, or the design moment. Else, that is the design moment is equal to 38.61 kilonewton. And now I'll calculate the shear forces also. Right? Now the shear forces are like this. That once I get this bending moment, what now I'll do is I'll demonstrate like this. Right? Let me go to the previous view. That is how I'll analyze for getting the design bending moment. Right now, even now I'm analyzing the interior beam with this loading 31.62 at the ends and in intermediate locations 38 kilonewtons. Right? Then after doing analysis as just now explained elaborately, right? Now I'll get the final bending moment as say 48.368 at C along the member CA. Similarly, at C along the member or in the member CB, same result but with minus sign, right? So that is how the final bending moments are obtained after analyzing this intermediate beam also in a similar fashion. Right? Then once I get these bending moments, now I'll analyze for getting the shear forces. Right? Now, this is how the free body diagram. The free body diagram of one span AC with a reaction of RA at the left support and the loads on it as 31.62 and rest of the three loads 38 kilonewton acting in the downward direction, and UDL of 0.5 kilonewton per meter is there over 3.75 meter distance. And here at C the reaction is RC vertically upward. And just now we have found out the because of the applied loads the bending moment is in the downward direction. Hence the resisting moment will be in the opposite direction, right? Actually, these 38 kilonewton, etc., are trying to bend in the downward direction. Hence, the resistance at the support will be there in the opposite direction, so that the body will be in equilibrium. The body will be in equilibrium like this, right? Hence, I need to show that in the clockwise direction. Actual deflections are in the anti-clockwise direction. Therefore, the resistance is there in the anti-clockwise direction. This is how the actions anti-clockwise, the resistance the resistance is clockwise 48.368. Just now we have calculated like this, right? And so that is how the fixed end movement at C in member CA. Once I know that, then here once I show fixed end movement, it is presumed that it is continuous over this, or it is at least fixed. Actually, it is continuous. It indicates that it is either fixed or continuous, but we know that this is continuous, right? With this much of fixed end movement, 48.368 in the clockwise direction at C. Then now I'll take sum of the moments about this point C is equal to 0, Then doing that, RA multiplied by 3.75 clockwise couple, right? Likewise, 48.368 is also clockwise couple about point C. Then must be equal to sum of the anti-clockwise couples is equal to 31.67 multiplied by 3.7 distance plus 38 is at a distance of this 2.5 meter distance. Another 38 is there at a distance of 1.25. This 38 will not come into the bending moment. It will directly go into in the form of reactions, right? Hence, sum of the clockwise couples is equal to sum of the anti-clockwise couples, or sum of the actions is equal to sum of the support react, sum of the resisting couples is equal to sum of the acting couples or external couples or movements simply, right? Therefore, solving this, now I'll get the reaction at left support as 57.645, and for this figure we can say sum of the vertical forces statics check is equal to sigma v is equal to 0, gives summation of all these four forces, right? 31.62 multiplied by 2 number of forces, 38 multiplied by 2 forces are there here, 4 forces, sorry, 38 multiplied by 3 plus 31.62, and now what I'll do is I'll take the total continuous support, right? Total continuous support from A to B, on which means equilibrium of the entire continuous girder, entire continuous girder, on which there are two end downward forces of 31.62 and intermediate forces 38 magnitude, 5 forces are there which are acting in the downward direction on this continuous support ABC beam ABC. But the reactions on that continuous support beams are RA, RC, RB. 3 reactions are there from this figure. RA, RC, RB. Right? That is how the equilibrium for this entire loading diagram. Some of the vertically acting downward forces is equal to some of the vertically acting upward forces. Solving which, I already know what is RA, but because of the symmetry, even I can say that is equal to the reaction at the right support 57.645 is also RB. Therefore, substituting this, only unknown is the reaction at mid or intermediate location RC is 141.64. That is how the reaction, I'll get the reaction is 141.64, and also the bending moment is equal to 48.368. Whereas at intermediate location, I got the bending moment of 38. And similarly, at intermediate location, if you see there, we got a shear force of 117. Therefore, 38.61 and 117.33 compared to that of this 48.36 and 141. Therefore, bending moment will govern the design. Hence, 48 is much greater than 38. Hence, the girder is governed by this 48.368 kilonewton meter at the intermediate location. At the intermediate location, this is what intermediate location for which loading is like this, not at the exterior location. Right? Once I get these design forces like this, these are the design forces M 48.368 kilonewton meter and V is equal to 141 kilonewton is the force. Then I'll start the design of intermediate beams. The beam is laterally supported. Why? Because please see that here the bottom plate of this tank is supported on the one moment, right? I'm sorry, right? The bottom plate is supported on the longitudinal girders, right? Actually, the bottom plate is provided with the stiffeners like this, which in turn is resting on the girders, longitudinal girders like this, right? Means the bottom plate is connected to the flange of I section here, or I section girder. Hence, the I section girder compression flange, I section girder compression flange is connected by means of the stiffeners along two rows of the rivets. Hence, this cannot buckle. Web buckling will not happen. Compression flange is not undergoing any buckling like this. Compression flange is not undergoing any buckling. Hence, this is laterally supported. Once we know that this is laterally supported, then I'll say that permissible bending compressive or tensile stress sigma BCT is equal to 0.66 Fi. Fi is equal to 250. It works out 165. However, these girders are not submerged in water. They are there outside. Hence, I need not reduce the stresses by 20%. The permissible bending compressive stress is only 165. Same basic value, no reduction. Right? Then let us find the section modulus. I'll find a trial section. Right? Then section modulus required. Zxx required is equal to M divided by the permissible bending or compressive tensile stress, which is M 48.368 10 to the power 6 divided by 165. It works out say 293 centimeter cube approximately. Then for the trial section, I'll increase the section modulus by 50%. Then Zxx required for trial section, Zxx trial is equal to 1.5 multiplied by 393.14 10 to the power 3, or it is equal to 439.77 10 to the power 3 mm cube. Now I'll see the steel tables which section is giving this much of section modulus. Then I'm choosing a section ISLB 325 at 43.1 kg per meter, or approximately 431 Newton per meter. Then I'm noting down the properties of the section, structural section. Its depth is equal to 325 mm, and thickness of the flange TF rotated by capital T is equal to 9.8 mm. Thickness of the web TW is equal to small t 7 mm, and the RYY radius of gyration about weak axis 30.5 mm, so that I'll get maximum standardized ratio. Right? Then also the section modulus furnished by this section is 607.7 10 to the power 3 mm cube, but I require only 439.72 10 to the power 3 mm cube. Therefore, this section primarily it is okay, but I need to check further. Is it okay from exactly from bending point of view and shear point of view and crippling, buckling point of view also, and deflection point of view, etc. Right? Then here the span between A to C is only 3.7 meter, though there is another span 3.75 meter continuous. I'll take only one span which is continuous over 3.75 meter, and the what the the depth h2 means the depth up to the end of the root radius, right? Root radius, this curved part. If you open shield table, you please see what is h2, right? At the end of the flange thickness will be varying, and it will follow a semicircular curve path. Then it will meet the web. It will meet the web after that curve, right? Therefore rest is just a straight vertical portion of this web of uniform thickness TW 7 mm, right? Therefore, that is how this is H2 which is 29.25, even at the top 29.25. If I deduct these two H2s from total depth of 325, I'll get H1, right? That is our D1. That D1 is nothing but total depth 325 minus 2 multiplied by H2 means the pure vertical portion of this web without any this root radius stiffened part is purely 7 mm thickness. Vertical height is H1 or D1. That is 325 minus 2 multiplied by 29.25. Right? That is how that D1 or H1 is also calculated. Once I calculate all these, or even note down, it can also note it down from the shield table. H1 value is readily available in the shield tables, right? After noting down these parameters, and I'll find out these ratios, capital T by small t, which is the ratio of the thickness of the flange to thickness of the web. It now works out 1.4, which is less than 2. And also D1 by T, this ratio, where T is the thickness of the web, right? Vertical straight portion of this web to its thickness, so that whether buckling will happen or not, that will check, right? It now works out 38.07, which is less than 85. And also capital D by capital T means the overall depth by thickness of the flange. This is for the flange. For the flange, this ratio is equal to 33.16, and the slenderness ratio L by R YY 3750 divided by R min. R min is 30.5. It is around 123. Therefore, I got these four parameters, four ratios, and we are using a structural steel with yield stress Fi is equal to 250 MPa. Hence, from this IS 800 1984 code, I'll go to page number 58 from table 6.1b. 6.1b for 250. This is 6.1a, 6.1b are applicable, wherein because this is this ratio T by T is less than 2, D1 by T is less than 85, then this table B is applicable. Table B is applicable, right? If that is greater than 85, greater than 2, then table A is applicable, right? Then that is how I'll note down from that table what is the permissible bending compressive stress, right? Therefore, for D by T, 30, sigma BC is equal to 109. For D by T, 35, sigma BC is equal to 106. Therefore, for D by T, I require for 33.16. This is equal to how much? I'll interpolate. Now it is around some 108 point odd value. Likewise, even for standardized ratio of 120, because I do have standardized ratio of 123, sigma BC value is available. Similarly, for 130, sigma BC's value is available. Then for standardized ratio of 123, what is that sigma BC? Therefore, first I'll do interpolation. Then using that interpolation for that d by t 33.16, I'll do extrapolate and interpolation. Then I'll get the final permissible bending compressive or tensile stress as 106.15 MPa. I'll recall that final value, which is much less than the permissible bending or compressive tensile stress of 0.66 Fi 165. Hence, okay, this value is correct. That is how the prime check is made. Once that is okay, then I'll calculate the moment of resistance of this girder or beam, or girder or beam. Now it is M is equal to Fz. F is nothing but sigma BC. Z is ZXX provided. Now substituting numeric values 106.15 into 607.7 10 to the power 3. It would be 10 to the power 6. It works out 64.51 kilonewton meter is the moment of resistance of this girder. What you have proposed, but it is subjected to a bending moment of 48.37. Therefore, moment of resistance is greater than the action 48 or moment, external moment 48.37. Hence, the proposed section is okay from bending point of view. It is okay from bending point of view. Let us also check, is it okay from the shear point of view. Check for shear stress. Average shear stress notated by tau VA cal. Tau VA cal is nothing but the shear force on the web is 141.64, and shearing area of this web, once the load is applied, whether the web will fail in shear criteria or not, that is a check actually, right? The depth of this web is equal to 325 with a thickness of 7 mm. As average shear stress, it now works out 62.26 MPa. But the permissible average shear stress as per this IS 800 1984 code is 0.4 Fy 250, right? 0.4 multiplied by 250 is 100 MPa, 100 Newton per mm square. Actual value tau VA cal is 62.26, is much less than the permissible 100 MPa. Therefore, it is also okay in shear criteria. Right? Likewise, now I am skipping off the checks. Another check for buckling, check for crippling, and check for deflection. Right? You may we must do even these three checks, which I am skipping off. I'll demonstrate that in the another problem or in another video. Right? Then once we do those three more checks, then our proposed section is the final section. Right? That is all. Now I'll say that hence provide that IS LB 325 at the rate of 43.1 kg per meter as a final section for intermediate beams. Right? Like this for intermediate beams. Right? Then, however, now I'll go to the analysis and design of end beams. We already discussed the analysis of end beams, and we got the bending moment of 38.64 kilonewton meter and shear force of 117.33 kilonewton meter. But this 38.61 kilonewton meter is much less than a bending moment what you have designed for intermediate beam, 48 point odd value. Hence, I'll say that the same section which was adopted at intermediate locations, ISLB 325 at the rate of 43.1 kg per meter, can also be adopted at the ends as end girder or end beam. Now, because the moment of resistance of such section is equal to 48 point odd value, but however the bending moment is only 38.61, right? 38.61. Sorry, the moment of resistance is more, so 50 point odd value. Let me check, right? The moment of resistance worked out 64.51. I'm sorry, 64.51. However, the bending moment what is coming onto these end beams is just 38.61. Hence, the same section may be adopted. One. Whereas practically also I cannot reduce the section from ISLB 325 to say some 300 or 275. Why? Means the columns are there. Therefore, all the columns will be stopped at one particular level. Therefore, at that level itself, all the girders should have the bottom plane resting on the top of the column. Hence, the level is fixed for stopping of the columns. You cannot have different levels for different columns. Then supporting this girder is not practically feasible. Hence, I'll use the same section right now. Once I do the analysis and design of top tier beams, now I'll move to the design and analysis of low tier beams. I hope students are understanding the analysis and designs. Right? We are there in the designs of plated steel tanks for which we are now designing the girders on which they are resting. We have seen top tier girders. Now we are seeing now bottom or low tier girders, right? Then once I do this, now I'll do the analysis in a similar fashion what you have done in the previous case, right? Now I'll take the intermediate beams, whereas that of the low tier has only three main beams, right, like this, which are resting on six columns. There are only one at the two exterior parts, one at the interior. Therefore, one, two, three, only three, one, two, three. Therefore, I'll take intermediate beam, this beam, this beam. Therefore, what is the load coming on to this interior beam, right? Now, that is how the loads coming on to this interior beam of span 6.1 meter, because only after 6.1 meter only there is a support in the form of columns like this, columns, right? Therefore, the distance between these columns is equal to 6.1, which is also 5 multiplied by 1.22, because at every 1.22 there is a stiffener which is supported on the girder. Therefore, the reaction from the girders, intermediate girders, are the reactions on this main beam, which are 141.64. We already calculated in the previous subheading the reaction, the shear force on the are the reactions on the main girders at intermediate locations worked out to be 141.64 kilonewtons, right? That is how 1, 2, 3, 4. Then rest of the two at the ends are the reactions from the end girders. Just now we have seen in the previous subheading that this reaction is equal to 117.33. That is a 117.33 kilonewton at both the ends, which are equally spaced at every 1.22, 1.22, like that, 5 spacings, which is equal to 6.1 meter. That is how the loading diagram. And also assume the sulfate of this girder, main girder, because this is a main girder. I'm just assuming at the rate of 1 kilonewton per meter as UDL throughout the span, left end to the right end, right? Then let us say this support D and this support as E respectively. Then I'll calculate what is that reaction RD and RE, which is half the load. Because of the symmetry of the loading, I'll say half the load will go to each of the support. Therefore, that is a total load 141.64. 4 loads are there, and 117.33. 2 loads are there multiplied by 2, and a UDL of 1 kilonewton over 6.1 meter. Total UDL multiplied by length is the total load. That half will go in the form of reaction at D and also in the reaction at E, which is 403.66 kilonewton. Then once I get these reactions, then because of the symmetry of this loading about the centroidal axis, what is the centroidal axis at 6.1 by 2 means 3.05 meter, either from the left hand or from the right hand. I do have the central line of this beam or mid distance of this beam. About that mid distance, because of the symmetry of this loading, I'll say the maximum bending moment will occur at mid span. That is how the maximum bending moment M is nothing but this reaction RD multiplied by this distance 3.05. Clockwise couple is positive. Then my rest are anti-clockwise couples. Minus 117.33 minus 117.33 multiplied by 3.05. Then next couple 141.34 multiplied by 3.05 minus 1.22. This much of gap has gone, right? Another couple. The next couple is this one 141.64 multiplied by this 3.05 minus 2 multiplied by 1.22. 2 multiplied by 1.22, right? This couple is also calculated. Then next, the movement due to UDL, right? This is anti-clockwise couple. Hence minus that length 3.05 UDL intensity 1 W L square by 2. Therefore, 3.05 multiplied by 1. 1 multiplied by 3.05 by 2 W L square. L square is 3.05. It is acting over 3.05 or 1 multiplied by 3.05, which is concentrated at 3.05 by 2, or that works out 1 multiplied by 3.05 whole square divided by 2, right? Therefore, now I'll get the maximum bending moment at midspan as say 523.06 kilonewton. That once I conclude the analysis, then I'll go with the design. Now I'll start the design. What is the trial section? First submitting is trial section. I calculate now the section modulus required. Zx is equal to m divided by f, right? However, for trial section, I'll increase the section modulus by 50%. Therefore, 1.5 multiplied by m, 523.06 multiplied by 10 to the power 6 divided by FCD, permissible bending compressive or tensile stress, 165. It now works out to 4755 into 10 to the power 3 mm cube approximately. However, if you see the steel tables, no girder, no Indian standard girder, Indian standard rolled steel section, Indian standard rolled steel section is furnishing this much of huge section modulus. Therefore, I'll now propose a compound or built up beam or girder as shown in this figure, right? What is that? Is this built up section is made up of a plate for the web whose depth is equal to 800 mm, and its thickness is equal to 12 mm, to which what is connected is ISA 150 by 150 by 18 is connected like this. Please see, there is one flange, one in the compression flange. I am showing one angle ISA 150 by 150 by its thickness 8 mm connected to the main web. Similarly, on the other side also same ISA 150 by 150 by 8 mm. Therefore, that is how the compression flange. Similarly, in the tension flange also. Right? That is how we are proposing two ISA 150 by 150 by 8 in compression as well as tension zones respectively. Then I'll note down from steel tables what are the parameters. What are the section parameters? Area of each angle is equal to 5079 mm square, and the CG from its own reference, right, from this, right, is at a distance of 43.8, right, 43.8 mm, and the moment of inertia about its own centroidal axis. Is because of this equal angle section. I do have IXA is equal to I by A small x about its own axis, 1048.9 10 to the power 4 mm to the power 4, right? Then I'll calculate the total area of this compound section as area of this plate 800 multiplied by 12, and areas of these four angles, equal angles, 4 multiplied by 5079. It is 70. It is now 29,916 mm square. There is a total area furnished by this proposed section. Then let us calculate the moment of inertia about the axis of the bending. This axis is the axis of the bending at a depth of 800 by 2. Because of the symmetry, it is at a distance of total depth by 2. Then about that axis, major axis of the bending, this horizontal axis is the major axis of the bending, right? This is the major axis of the bending. About that axis, now I'm calculating what is the moment of inertia. I capital X is moment of inertia of this plate about the centroidal axis of this compound section, capital X, plus moment of inertia of this these angles about central axis of the compound section. Right? Now, let's see what is the moment of inertia of this web plate whose width is equal to 12 and depth is equal to 800. Therefore, it now works out 12 multiplied by 800 by 12, BD cubed by 12. That itself is passing through the CG of the compound section. Therefore, I'll not use the parallel axis theorem here. Whereas for the angles, there are 4 angles. The moment of inertia about their own axis are 1048.9 10 to the power 4. But I need to transfer them to here, this to this CG axis, right? Therefore, I'm doing that using AH square. Area of each section is equal to 5079 mm square. That multiplied by depth, right? The distance, not depth, h is nothing but this 400 minus this cxx is equal to 43.8. Therefore that is how ah square it works out now 31.3162 10 to the power 8 mm to the power 4 is the amount of inertia about major axis of bending. Once I calculate that, even now I'll calculate moment of inertia about minor axis or vertical axis of the bending, about the vertical axis of the bending, right? Which is the moment of inertia about the vertical axis of the bending for the plate. This plate is having a width of 800 mm, whereas about this y-axis, the thickness is only 12. B d cubed by 12. Please see this, right? B d cubed by 12. Therefore, this with thickness 12, B d cubed by 12 plus moment of inertia of this angle about both the axes are same, IXA is equal to IYA, right? That transferred to the CG, vertical centroidal axis, vertical axis, right? A h square, h is nothing but 12 by 2, thickness of the main plate 12 by 2 plus this angle CG is at a distance of 43.8. Therefore 43.8 plus 6 is the h multiplied by a, or it works out 97.45 10 to the power 6 mm to the power 4. You please see that there is a lot of difference between IXX, which is of the order 10 to the power 8. However, this is of the order 10 to the power 6. Almost some 80 to 70, 80 to 90 times difference is there, or around 100 times difference is there. In terms of powers, it is 100 times difference is there, approximately, right? Hence, the section modulus furnished about the major axis of bending, about this major axis, right? That is how it is about this axis of bending is IXX divided by Y extreme fiber distance is 400 mm, solving which you will get 7829 into 10 to the power 3 mm to the power 3 mm to the power 3. Then I will calculate the moment of inertia. Already calculated about y axis. Therefore, now I'll calculate the radius of gyration about weak axis or minor axis, which is square root of IYY divided by area. Area we already calculated in the previous heading. Hence, I'll recall those values. It now works out, upon substitution, it now works out 55.6 mm RYY about weak axis. Now I'll calculate these parameters. Capital T by small t, thickness of the flange to thickness of the web is 1.5, which is less than 2. And the slenderness ratio L by RYY at L is now 6.1 meters. In the previous case, it was 3750. Now it is 6.1 meter divided by RY, 55.6. It is 109.7. And capital D by capital T, thickness of the flange, ratio of the depth to total depth to thickness of the flange. It now works out upon substitution 44.4. And D1 by T, D1 is nothing but purely vertical portion of this web without any stiffened part. D1 by T, where T is the thickness of the web, it is now working out 41.67, which is less than 85. Hence D1 by T is less than 85 and T by T is less than 2. Hence I'll once again use the same previous table B. Right, from that now I'm noting down for D by T 40, 50, for L by RY, for for D by T, what is that sigma BC value, and for this L by RY, what is that value? Now I require a D by T 44.4. Therefore, I'll interpolate. For 40 it is 108. For 50 it is 116. Therefore, for 44.4 it is how much? Therefore, this is how much is equal to 108 plus 116 minus 108 divided by this 10 difference multiplied by this difference is 4.44. It now works out 117.11 MPa. permissible bending compressive or tensile stress. Similarly, now for this is for 100 stiffness ratio. Similarly, now you do for 110 stiffness ratio for d by t. 40 it is 111, for d by t 50 it is 118, therefore d by t 44.4 it is how much? Now interpolate in a similar fashion, you will get 109.67 MPa. Once I interpolate for these d by t's for corresponding these L by Ry's, then I'll extrapolate. Therefore, for L by Ry, 110 value is equal to 117.11. For L by Ry is equal to 110. This is 109.62. Hence, for this L by Ry, 109.7, sigma BC is equal to how much? That I will calculate, right? I'll calculate that and I'll multiply with the section modulus provided, ZXX Pro, which is 7829 10 to the power 3 mm cube. Therefore, if I divide with 10 to the power 3, now I'll get the moment of resistance of this section as 860.34 kilonewton meter. 860.34 kilonewton meter. Right? However, the bending moment coming onto this section is a value m. One moment. A value 523.06. Only 523.06. Therefore, this moment of resistance 860 is greater than 523.06. Therefore, okay means it is okay with respect to the bending criteria. Let us also check, is it okay from shear criteria or not? Yes. Then the actual shear stress or tau A cal means actual is nothing but shear force 403.6 10 to the power 3 newtons divided by shearing area, this web whose depth is equal to 800 now with the thickness of 12 mm. Therefore, that works out 42.05 MPa, which is much less than the permissible average shear stress of 0.4 Fi 100 MPa. Therefore, okay means our assumed section is okay, right? That is how the design will be done for the intermediate girders. Okay, students, thank you for watching this video. In the next class, we shall see the design of staging or tower. If you like these discussions, please click like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll meet once again with the continuation of this in the next third part. Till then, bye bye, students. Thank you.